These were the opening moves of this absolutely immortal chess game. A Sicilian on the board, Fabiano goes for the Rossolimo variation with bishop to b5 here, and what follows is a positional immortal. Gukesh D, just 16 years old at the time. It was the Chess Olympiad 2022. He was on a 7 out of 7 hot winning streak, going for 8 out of 8 this game. What happens next is sensational. So Gukesh goes pawn to g6, preparing to fianchetto his rook perhaps, or maybe not. The bishop goes there, of course. c3, a playable move from Fabiano, but he takes on c6, shattering the pawn structure. D takes the main way to go, unleash this bishop, but Gukesh takes with the b pawn towards the centre. We're in for a sharp fight now. Rook e1 played, clock times on the left. This is classical over the board chess. USA versus India 2. Now we see queen c7, not starting with pawn d6, because after h3 from Fabi, now d6 comes, and the queen adds support to this square, preventing e5. Or does it? Fabiano plays the move. How can he get away with this? The pawn's covered twice. Well, this is his point. He just follows up with d3 and says, yes, I've sacked a pawn, but look at your horrible double C's and double E's. They are going to come under fire. We can see the point of h3 now. No bishop to g4 stuff. And now Gukesh finds a great move. They're both in their opening prep. He goes pawn to c4 here. And if you capture that one, f5 is the swashbuckling point. You're pushing e4 soon, liberating this bishop. Black doing great. So it wasn't captured. Knight c3 played. Pawn takes, pawn recaptures here, and knight h6. Not going to f6 because Gukesh wants to keep some defense here. But now watch this. Fabiano takes the pawn anyway, because if bishop captures, not played, then this bishop captures the knight on h6, which would be unprotected. So knight f5 played, headed for d4 if allowed. What's the material count here? Well, pawns restored, but white with the pressure. Bishop f4 highlights it, x-raying the queen. It slides to b7, pressures b2, but Fabi both defends with knight a4 and heads for the weakened c5 square. He wants to sit on the head of that c6 pawn. And now what a move by Gukesh. You know, most of us are going to say bishop e6 or castles, right? He plays a move you should never play, says Ben Feingold, pawn to f6. How ugly is that? Weakening the king. He's looking for e5 soon, but first you have to castle. You don't want to push a pawn when a rook's x-raying your monarch. But d4 now comes from Fabi. What a clamping pawn. e5 no longer possible. The knight on f5 looking really weird. Defending a pawn. Blocking the development of the bishop. I mean, what a horrible position to play. How would you proceed here if you were black? Where can this bishop go? Nowhere. Knight looks a bit stuck. This one's coming to c5. The rooks are barreling down. You know what to do. Really, really tough position. Well, Gukesh comes up with just a phenomenal idea. Pawn to g5. Was he in some kind of weird prep here? I mean, this is move 16. It's deep stuff if so. It's not a top engine move, so I doubt it. But after bishop h2 from Fabi, he then follows up with h5. What a concept. Just looking for g4, kick the knight, then this pawn becomes very weak. The knight on f5 breathes life. So rook e4 from Fabi, keeping an eye on g4, good move, and now queen d7. The one thing that Gukesh has got going here is the bishop pair and especially the light squares. White has no bishop. So queen c2 played, and now look at this move. Rook f7. I mean, shades of the kind of King's Indian defense stuff that you have to do and then you carry on attacking. Rook e1 and bishop f8. What a position. Look at the black pieces. It just looks so bad. Weak pawns here on c6 and a7, an unprotected rook. I mean, Fabi eats alive opponents for breakfast in such positions as this. Queen e2, queen d5, and now maybe here Fabi misses his moment. Scrap that, not here. Knight c3 played, queen d7. Here, I was a move too soon in my preparation, which didn't go so well to plan. It can happen at the best of times. What should Fabi possibly have done? You don't have to. Well, there's this nice tactical shot of knight takes on g5. This is the kind of refutation, if you like, of the way that black has played, weakening the king, not developing the pieces. And it's very dangerous because the bishop's coming to e5. So the top line here is to cover the king, cover this square, queen captures. That's 3 pawns for the minor piece, and it's really, really dangerous, this attack. You know, this is top engine line, king f8, bishop e5, and then the defensive move you'd never believe. Queen e6, stepping into the line of the rooks. But this is the idea, crazy ninja stuff as usual from the computer. One possible line, but okay, not played at all, but this was perhaps the way to go. Queen c4 played, looks so natural, but now queen b7, knight a4 best to defend and attack, hop back once more, but b4, and suddenly Gukesh has a target on b4. The tables start turning. e6 is played here, rook b1, queen d7. We see some shuffle, so Fabi has a draw on tap, but he doesn't want to make it. He plays a3, but it's not good. a5 from Gukesh, a tin opener to that white queen side. Knight a4 back, headed for b6 with the monster fork, so queen d8 covers, and now there's lots of pressure on this pawn. This rook could be swinging across soon. It suddenly looks really, really clever. So takes here was played, rook recaptures, knight c5, what an outpost, but amazingly it's actually the black pieces coming to life, because queen d5, a monster centralization, this black widow spider in the center of the board. Queen e2 retreats here and the pawn drops. I mean, what if you go queen d3? Try and hold this pawn. Well, there's tactical problems. This is the big thing about the white position. Fabi, that little piggy, has made his house of straw. So he goes queen e2. Now we get rook takes on a3. Gukesh a pawn to the good. Rook d1 now played. You can see the computer hates it. What did the Silicon Overlord want? Queen e1 apparently. It's actually really tough now. This bishop just firing into thin air, cutting the king's luft there. So this one was played. We get rook f to a7. What a swing. I mean, it's just positional beauty. Magnus-esque. g4 now played from Fabi. Absolutely lashing out. He doesn't know what to do. He's just struggling for moves. You might wonder, why not take the pawn on e6? Well, this is the problem. You crash through on rook a1 here, and this knight actually runs into tactical problems. This isn't quite the line I analysed, but say you go here to give the king some room. Now you can take, queen recaptures, rook drops. Say you take here, take here before going bishop g3. What's the line? Check, knight e1. Now where are we going? Okay, bishop e6, rook e6, and there's always these tactics. This is much of a recurring theme in many of the lines, right? Didn't have that one prepared. I had an earlier line prepared, very similar line. So these are some of the problems. That's why Fabi lashes out. We get h takes on g4, pawn recaptures. He's really low on time as well, Fabiano. Knight h6, pressures this pawn, and after bishop g3, how about this for just a star move? e5, breaking out, opening up the bishop to take on g4. And if you take like this, not played, well, the problem is the knight drops. You know, you'd love to open your rook right, but this is a tactical problem. Incredible stuff. So Fabi goes for the kamikaze, takes on e5, pawn recaptures, rook takes, now bishop takes on g4, an in-betweener, fantastic move. You take me, I take you. So instead queen d2, but now queen f3. What a move. Hits the rook. Bishop h3 threatened. Fabi goes for this one, taking with check.
The rook blocks, I mean, what work has that one got through? Swinging back, incredible piece. You just don't see it very often. Rook e1 now played, bishop h3 threatens mate, and the only way to cover it is by moving this bishop. Surely you go to e5, looks most sensible, and if takes here, the queen covers, this is the point. But if you come here, this is now the follow-up. It's deadly. You intercept the communication, you're threatening mate. There's nothing can be done. You can take, but this is just a follow-up checkmate, this kind of thing. No good. So Fabi goes bishop d6. Idea being, if knight g4, now you take with check, bishop recaptures, and you've left the e-file open. So you can invade on e8 here. King moves, and then you can check, and it still is lost and black wins, but it's more of a kind of counter-attack. But Gukesh doesn't even go knight g4. He just takes that bishop right. He's 2 minor pieces ahead. This is getting ridiculous, or a minor piece. Yeah, is it 2? Yeah, 2 minor pieces, sorry. Takes with check. Queen g5 check, king h7, and there's just no invasion squares. The rook can't come, it's covered. This knight and queen converging to add defense. f5 is covered 3 times. So Fabi goes for something desperate. He just doesn't have anything. Plays knight e4, but there's a very simple finish. Can you find the move that Gukesh D finished with? Today he was truly Gukesh A, bringing the A game, taking down Fabiano Caruana. He plays the move of queen takes on e4. Not a real queen sacrifice, a pseudo queen sacrifice, temporary one, or a sham queen sacrifice, because you immediately are checkmating or winning back huge material, right? Then checkmating, so not a real sacrifice of the queen. This is a checkmate, this bishop critical in the attack. What a game. Fabi resigned here. Keep your eye on him, World Championship coming, and smash subscribe if you love these recaps. Thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you soon.